Twuan Williams of the Rock and Blue Ribs Festival. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself, sir?
Good. I feel like the last time we talked was when you started the comedy show.
Correct.
At Jolt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're back with another event.
I'm back with another event, Phil.
Yeah, well, let's tease people. We'll talk about your event in a second.
Okay.
Let's talk about being a barber.
Being a barber.
Cutting hair. How long have you been cutting hair?
Oh, man, Phil. Let's see. Probably professionally about 14 years now.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's a long time. How'd you get into hair?
Friends was cutting hair when we was coming up, elementary and junior high, and they call it middle school now.
Yeah.
A few of my friends in the neighborhood was cutting hair, and I was watching them, and they was getting $3 and $4, you know what I mean, at 12 and 13
Big
years
money.
old, and that
That's
was big money for us.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, man. I told my mom, I said, hey, I want to start cutting hair, and she was like, well, you're going to have to take your own money and buy you some clippers, and I did.
So you had to buy your own clippers?
I did, yeah.
Wow.
I was the only child, Phil, so coming up, my mom didn't raise me to be spoiled and any of that, so she's like, if you're going to do something, you're going to have to get out there and do it.
Yeah. You take a little bit more seriously then, too, I think.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's how I eat.
Yeah, right. What, do you remember your first haircut? How'd you do?
My best friend to this day, we always talk about this. I never cut anyone's hair before, any of that. I just had been watching my friends cut hair, bought a new pair of clippers. My friend's mom was like, he's going to need a haircut. Do you think you could do it? So I said, yeah, I'm quite sure I could do it. We didn't tell him that I was going to be the barber. And so when he come in, and it's like, hey, Twuan said he can cut your hair. And okay, we're going to give him a try. Needless to say, he didn't take pictures the next day.
Yeah, I'll just stay inside my house for the next couple months.
It was pretty bad. He wore a hat for about 2 weeks. Yeah,
I love it. So wait, where do you cut hair out of? Where's your shop?
So it's inside Shea Galleria 2, corner of Genesee, 1520 East Genesee.
Okay.
Yeah, here in the city.
Okay, you got any kind of specialty? Anything that you do?
Provide a good service,
Yeah.
Phil. It's challenging because the hair market changes so often. So you really have to keep up with today's latest trends and what people like. So
You can't just cut hair like you were cutting hair 20 years ago.
No,
because people want different things.
that's right, because now we're in a time where we're social media savvy. We always want to look our best. We take pictures, we take videos. So now everyone wants to look the part. So we don't want just no regular, plain, dull haircut. So we need the beard to be lined in high definition. The hairline needs to be high definition because this is the time we're living in now where, again, social media has, took over to where, we always want to try to look our best when we can.
Right.
So
Right. And I imagine the trends change faster because of social media. You wake up next week and all of a sudden everybody wants some kind of crazy thing they saw on TikTok, and now you got to learn how to do that.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
People be so influenced by social media. If a star or somebody come out on TikTok and have some old weird kind of funky haircut, it catches on.
Right.
So now you forced into trying to accommodate. It's just like when Kansas City won the Super Bowl and they was talking about Travis Kelce's haircut. We had been doing that for a while, but to see a white guy with such detail, so now, okay, everybody wants this cut now, so it's one of my favorite cuts to do. So,
You start seeing a different clientele coming to your barbershop.
That's right, yeah.
All are welcome.
That's right. Come on in.
I love it. I love the barber scene, the hair scene, because it's more than just hair. I mean, every time I walk into a barbershop, take pictures or stuff, it's a party in there, man. It's where people go not just to get their hair done, but to talk to people and find out news and say hey to friends.
That's always been the case with barbershop and beauty salons have always been like, before social media come out, these were the places that you would go to find out different information locally and nationally. You hear so much in the barbershop and in the beauty salon. So, yeah.
Reputable information and irreputable information.
Most definitely. But see, I do appointments only. So it's unique when you come to Fresh to Death Cuts because usually like how it is now, Phil, it's just you and I. So when people come in, it's just me and the client. and you build a stronger, to me,
Yeah.
you build a stronger client base because it's more personal, it's more intimate.
Yeah.
Certain things that you wouldn't be comfortable speaking about while others are in the shop. But when it's just us two, then you become comfortable. Even with me, some things that, I wouldn't share if there was multiple people in a barbershop. But once you connect, and people feel more comfortable when it's just you in the barbershop. But I get it, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like that vibe, especially if you're a good dude talking to a good dude. I mean,
Yeah.
like that's a good situation. And honestly, like a situation that not many men might experience outside
True.
of getting their hair cut.
Right.
Somebody they can just spill the beans to.
Yeah, and see, I do a lot of what we call male weave or
Okay, you're gonna have to explain that to me.
hair. So, like you feel.
Yeah.
You're a bald
What do you
guy.
mean? What do you mean,
Okay. Hey, bald is sexy, but hey.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Just in case you say, Twuan, I really can't grow my hair out, but I want a more full look.
Yeah.
You come in, I assess what you need, and then you come in looking like that, Phil, like you look now. Then you come back out looking like, hey, got a whole fresh new set of hair here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Oh,
a little
yeah.
bit of an option.
Right, of course.
Yeah, my fellow bald men out there. Bald is beautiful. Embrace it.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you don't want to, Twuan can hook you up.
Hell yeah, we could definitely change that.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
How'd you get into doing events? Like, wait, was your first event the comedy? No?
No.
Take me back to the first event you did.
Okay, let's get to it. My first event was entitled the Mother May I Gospel Concert.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I think that was like 2010, maybe 2009, 2010. I had been under a guy who had been doing gospel shows and plays and stuff here in the city. And so I was looking like, man, again, saw something, hey, I could do that. And started asking him, about resources, what did it take, and jumped out there with both feet and learned a whole lot, Phil, with that first event.
Tell me, I think this would be really useful for folks in the city of Saginaw, because it seems like every week somebody new is trying to put on a new event, which is awesome and amazing. But you having experience, talk to me like I'm somebody putting on an event for the first time. What are the things that you learn right away after those first couple events that you didn't know had you not put it on?
Know your market. Know who your targeted audience is. Once you figure that out, you then begin to assess what you're going to need, how you're going to get the word out there.
I love the know your market, because like you bring a My Little Pony show to the city of Saginaw. You may not be the right market for that.
True.
Might be really successful someplace else, but
Right.
maybe the city of Saginaw doesn't want a My Little Pony festival.
And that's the thing about doing events here in Saginaw, Phil. You got to be real strategic on how you plan, because we're not like Detroit, Houston, Chicago. We're a small time city.
Yeah, 47,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you just imagine, like, and to go back to the barbering, 47,000 people here in the city of Saginaw. My first time going down to Houston to cut hair, I left a place that roughly 47,000 folks. To get to Houston is 6 million people in one city. You know what I mean? So
yeah. So you can, correct me if I'm wrong, in a large 6 million person city, you can you might be able to get away with something because you got a pool of 6 million people.
Right.
Like you throw a bad idea out there, you're going to be able to convince 50 people that it's
exactly
it's a good idea. But if it's 47,000, like your market is is small, so you really got to be, like you said, strategic.
And that's it. I started doing events more catered to the urban type of community, and which is great. But to expand, we had to go back to the table and, like, we want a real community driven event.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That means everyone, every culture, religion, creed, age, it doesn't matter. We want to throw the Thundercat sign up in the air. So if people remember the Thundercats, they remember Thundercats. Yeah. So we want to raise awareness. Everyone feel to be able to come out and enjoy these type of events that we're about to start launching here.
Yeah. I want to ask you one more thing, because I've been thinking about this too before we get to the Rib Fest.
Okay.
I would imagine too, another almost mistake that a new event organizer might make is going into it thinking, my first event, I need as many people there as possible. I need at least 300 people at this event in order for it to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that might be a mistake that they go in to their very first event thinking?
Well, actually, no. It depends what type of event that you're doing.
Yeah, fair.
If you're doing an event that requires tickets, you have to have a set point to be like, okay, this event, especially if you don't have any sponsors, that's a real key. That limits what you can and can't do is great sponsorship or the lack of great sponsorship. So if you're coming out of pocket and you're doing or want to do something, you have to have a targeted, like, okay, if we get 200 people at $30 per ticket, we could cover this, or we could replace or replenish petty cash that was put up front.
Yeah, I think everything that you're saying is really important for folks thinking about putting on their own events. There's a lot more to think of other than just, I want to have five artists at X location.
Yeah.
Like, you got to think about permits. You got to think about insurance. You got to think about tickets. You got to think about the math side of it. You got to think about the marketing, which is something that I love about you, because you see, like, whenever Twuan's having an event, everybody knows because he's in the comment section constantly and blasting it. So it's all over the place. And the most recent event blast I saw from you was the Rib Fest. I was like, I got to talk to Twuan. So how did the idea for the Rib Fest come about?
I'm glad you asked, Phil.
Why? Yeah.
I was asleep.
Oh, really?
One night. And it's crazy. It's like,
it came to me in a dream.
Yeah, it woke me up. I mean, like a real bad stomach ache at night. It wake you up out of your sleep like, oh, man, I got to go take care of this. This is just like how the Rib Fest idea launched. It woke me up out of my sleep, Phil. I mean, it woke me up so tough that I went downstairs and started jotting stuff down. It's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, wow. And then once I shared the information with a few folks, and they told me that they thought that it would be a good idea, I said, well, let me go down to the city hall and see about getting this thing going, and here we are.
Wow. So give me the 101. When is it? Where is it? What are we going to be able to experience there?
Okay, Phil. So we want to give people that wow experience when they come out onto Ojibway Island, July 20th, 2024. The event is from noon to 6 p.m. So when you think about a community-wide event, you want to have something in place that everyone that attends can enjoy. So I got to thinking, like, what would be nice out there on the island? So I went and took a walk out onto the island to visualize what it would be like. So I got to thinking, Cornhole is a new game that has been sweeping the country. I actually got a chance to play it a few times, and it's so much fun. So we knew that we want Cornhole involved. Car show. We knew that we needed a car show out there for everybody to come out and see the display. Food is always great for a community-wide event. Food, and people love barbecue. And there's been a lot of camaraderie about who has the best barbecue, who has the best ribs.
Time to prove it, baby.
Time to prove it. Let's get right to it. So we're doing a rib cook-off challenge as well. We have live music. Even though it's a rock and blues event, just like going to a jazz fest, you have multi-genres of music out there. Even though it's entitled Jazz Fest, you're going to get different types of music.
Throw people a little curveball every once in a while.
Yeah, we do.
I love it.
Yeah.
This sounds awesome. Where do I go to get tickets?
So, I'm glad you asked that too. This is absolutely free to the public.
What?
Free.
How did you pull this off, Twuan?
Oh, man. Again, Phil, this has been some of the most trying and strategic event planning. So we were looking for sponsorship, and it's hard to get sponsorship, especially when you're doing a first-time event.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because if I'm a sponsor and I'm going to throw my name behind somebody, like I want it to be
exactly. So
great, yeah.
We knew that we were up against a rough time trying to get sponsorship. Because usually when you're going to do or ask for sponsorship, you usually want to get to companies right at the beginning of the year. Because usually at the physical of the year, most companies are putting together their advertisement budget and stuff like that. So they look at different ways of how to advertise, but yet cut costs. And a lot of times they do that through local events or major events to help push that. So again, we know that we was well beyond that. So to give you a little bit of background, when we first started doing the Downtown Summer Comedy Jam, we were trying to raise revenues that we could offer scholarships to the first graduating class out of the new combined high school, Saginaw United. We were not able to raise enough revenue. Well, actually, hell, to be honest, Bill, we didn't raise no revenue to put towards for scholarships. So got to thinking about different ways, but had nothing come up yet. But anyway, so we're raising funds. My son, Twuan Williams Jr., we want to offer those scholarships in his name. And my son, he was a product of Saginaw Public Schools, great football player, all of that. But at the age of, I want to say about 11 or 12, he was diagnosed with epilepsy. He used to have the real bad grandma seizures. So once we figured that out, the doctors had said, no, sorry, he can't participate in full contact sports until we're able to get the grandma seizures under control. And so we took him to the doctor, put him on meds. The meds gave him bad side effects. It messed with him mentally, physically. And then it took a toll on him too, Phil, that he wasn't able to participate in the things that he loved.
Right.
So that kind of, it brought his whole demeanor down. And crazy as it may sound, there was a lady, she was in the medical field. She said, I don't know how you guys feel about medical marijuana, but we done this with our child that had epilepsy. So find this doctor that's over in Fenton and he can help you. So we did. We took him down. And the doctor explained, we're not going to give him no medical marijuana to smoke, but things like lollipops, edibles. And it was crazy, Phil, that he went from like 6 or 7 grandma seizures a day after being on this medicine. It cut dramatically. It even got to the point where he stopped seizing.
Really?
Stopped seizing. So I was like, man, it would be great to have a cannabis facility to be a sponsor for what we're doing, because we want to raise awareness for the deadly disease, epilepsy as well.
Yeah.
So there's a new business that's coming into town, and it's called the Bloom and Blaze Cannabis Company. And one of the owners' husband is one of my clients. And I was telling him about the event. He was like, oh, man, Twuan, we need to collab together. And I was thinking to myself, if this isn't something from heaven, because we was trying so hard from other cannabis companies to try to get sponsorship. And just trying to get sponsorship, period, it has been hectic.
Yeah.
But this company jumped in. They're helping us to provide things that we're going to need for sponsorship out there on the island.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Oh, I love it. What when you think about doing community events, if somebody has never actually put on an event,
Hmm.
I don't think they really understand just the level of effort and time and energy and resources and investment it takes to pull off a successful event. Like in your head, you're thinking, oh, I can just make a little graphic on Canva and then throw it up on Facebook and say everybody meet me at White's Bar on Thursday. And it doesn't work like that. Why go through all of this work to put on these events? Like, why do you feel it's important to throw on like a rib fest or a comedy jam for the city of Saginaw?
Our community needs this, Bill. Don't matter what creed, color, age, what side of town that you stay on, gender, it doesn't matter. We just want everyone to be able to come out, enjoy each other, and to be able to love on each other. And this event will help small businesses as far as those that's coming out as food vendors, as merchant vendors. We have nonprofit vendors that'll be out giving community resources to the
Mm.
community. So we just feel like this event is much needed in the city and the community of Saginaw.
Very cool. Yeah, there's nothing like going to a community event, whether it's on Ojibway or in Old Town or downtown for like Friday night
Yeah,
live. But like you're heading into this area and people that you know and a lot of
yeah,
people that you don't know, and
right,
it doesn't really matter because you're coming together to listen to music, to eat
right,
great food, to celebrate the community for all
yeah,
these reasons. And so, man, I just really encourage people. If you haven't been, or obviously nobody's been to the Rib Fest, but you got
right.
to go to the Rib Fest. Just even for that element, just the community of seeing great people having the time of their life. Then you get great food on top of it,
That's
great
right,
music on top of it, games for the kids. I mean,
right.
and it's free.
And it's
You like,
free.
there is no reason for you not to be there.
Exactly. It's free, Phil. We even work with a transportational company that, some folks, it's a free event and it's a fundraiser event. So some of the ways that we will raise funds is to being able to park out and charge small donation to park out on the island. But for those that don't want to park out on the island or don't want to pay, we have a small
Oh,
transportational
awesome.
company that's going to be providing shuttle rides to and off the island at certain locations. So again, we have been thinking of all kind of stuff that would give people that wow factor when they come out
Yeah.
there on the island, because it's been a long time since the island has been opened up for an event like this. A lot of people remember how great like the KCQ Country Concert
Mm-hmm.
Fest used to be, the Rock the Island. And those were huge, great events that poured in, like someone say even like 80 to 100 some thousand people. And we understand this is the first event
Mm-hmm.
of many, but we have expectations of that as years to come. But we just want to get our feet wet and
Mm-hmm.
understand how do we move strategically going forward after the first event this year.
Yeah. Awesome. So again, people show up. Twan, give us the date time one more time, and
Okay,
we'll
yes,
see
it's
everybody.
July 20th out on Ojibway Island. It's from noon to 6. It's a free event. We have cornhole tournament. We have live music. We also have bounce house for the kids, beer tent. There will be other games out there, informational, nonprofit, community resources. We have food and merchant vendors that'll be out there. So we'll have something out there for everyone to come out and enjoy. A peaceful event, a much worthy event for
Mm-hmm.
what we're doing. Again, this is to raise funds for scholarships for the new high school. Again, everyone can't be in the top 20, top 10 of their graduating class, but what about the ones that may have stumbled in the ninth, 10th grade, but was able to turn it around? We want to, and if they want to pursue their education past high school, we want to be a part of that and help them push, giving them some type of scholarship financially that'll help them continue their education, because the youth are our future. And if we don't pour into the youth, then we're going to struggle here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, July 20th, Got to be there. Rock and Blues Rib Fest.
Oh, man.
Free, noon to 6.
Yep.
People donate for parking, support this event so that it can keep coming back every year, get better and better. Twuan, always a pleasure. Thanks for much for the chat.
I appreciate you.
I want to ask you one more thing.
Okay.
That I wanted when we're talking about barbering. Are you still doing your work at Paradise?
Oh, man, it's crazy that you just asked that. My fiance, her dad just passed here about a week ago.
Really?
Yeah, and I had to go in and cut his hair. But to answer your question is yes, I still go to the funeral home. And it's funny that you say that, Phil, because a lot of times I pour into the youth, and when they come in, I tell them, like, I get to see the results of what could happen with the crime and stuff, because pouring into them from the barbershop is different from, because I once cut hair at the county jail as well about a year or so ago. So I get a chance to communicate with them in the county jail as well. And then ultimately, I have to also do it at the funeral home.
Yeah.
So I see it on different levels, from being free, able to come and get your hair cut at the barbershop.
Yeah.
Being not free because of certain situations.
In jail. Yeah.
In jail to cut it. And then the ultimate.
Wow. How did you start doing that work?
Well, the very first time that I done it, Phil, it was
Maybe let's clarify, what is the work that you do at Paradise?
to go in and give that customer, that client, that person their final cut for their homegoing celebration, the funeralize of the service. So just like the funeral home, you give them their last look. So when family come in, you want them to look as natural and peaceful as just look like themselves, how they would look coming in sleeping.
Yeah.
Is the goal that you want to give them that natural themselves look.
Yeah. It's something that the average person doesn't think about, but makes total sense. Like, you need somebody who can do hair to do hair.
Right.
Well, how did you start doing that part of your work?
Oh, man, a church member was a client for a few years, and he passed. And the family called me up and said, "Hey, Twuan," he said, "I know this is a hard task to ask of you." He said, "But, would you be able to go in and take care of my dad?"
What did you think when you were asked that?
I had to ponder on it. I'm like, wow. I'm a huge horror movie type of. That's like my favorite. And so when you go to thinking about the dead, like, oh, man. Like, man, what if he come back to life while I'm cutting? You go to think about all these crazy things. But I had agreed to do it. And Phil, the night before, I couldn't sleep at all. Like, man, I had to go cut somebody.
Yeah, because you don't know what it's going to be like.
You don't.
And I think people that might be watching this, listening to this, would also agree, like, an idea that you confront every day, and so you can be uncomfortable.
No, because it's awkward, Phil. Usually when they come in, they come in, sit in a chair, and they sit up, erect. But when you go to the funeral home and cut hair, they're not sitting up.
The mechanics of it are even different.
You can't tell them turn or move over to everything that needs to be done. You have to physically do it.
Oh, and that's interesting to think of that way, because it's even more than just the situation. It's, as a barber, like, how do I approach this? Because this is a completely different.
Right. So when I was cutting past week, the funeral director come in, because I always request a chair to stand in or stand on. And he come in, he said, "Why do you always get a chair and cut hair standing?" I said, "Because I have to be able to see what this family sees when they come and see this person in a casket. So I stand and I look down to see exactly what I'm going to need to do and to cut. So I get a better visual. So when the family come in, they get to see exactly what I see."
Yeah.
So,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So the first time that you cut hair in this way, you were feeling uncomfortable, a little bit nervous, like not knowing what to expect. How long have you been doing it for?
13 years.
Now, 13 years later, How do you feel about this work that you do?
I learned so much. It gives you great sense of awareness that you have helped a family because it's hard enough to go through, because I went through it. I know what it's like to lose a loved one. It's difficult as it is to go in and view your loved one laid there, but it also helps when they look like their normal selves when you go see them, vice versa to what they've been through.
Well, I just want to thank you for that work that you do, because if I'm not somebody who has had a loved one in that situation, it may not be something that I think about, but here we are. We need you, because if I had end up in that situation, like I want somebody like you doing work like that to create a moment where I can remember my loved one in a really beautiful way. And so I want to thank you for that work that you're doing behind the scenes here for the city of Saginaw, Twuan.
Oh, thank you, Phil.
Amazing. It's beautiful.
I love what I do. I really do.
Thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
You're awesome, Twuan. Take those headphones off.